Hey guys, it's Ed again. Well, knocking crap over again. I know it's been a long time since I shot any video, but things have been a little crazy. A lot of stuff going on in my personal life and some death in the family and all that kinds of crap, so I haven't really been feeling much like shooting video. But life goes on, right? So we need to keep moving on and you know, keep making videos, I guess. So I'm gonna start making videos again. So anyway, what has Ed been up to besides dealing with all that crap? Well, as you may be able to see behind me a little bit, there's a yellow turd that we call the heap. This right here is a 1976 CJ5. She's full race, as you can tell. See, she's got a roll cage made out of 2-inch, well, inch and a half water pipe. Yeah. And you know, she's something. She's something. It's got knobby tires, so that makes it special. It's got Bondo. That makes it, you know, really special. Yeah, let's see what else it's got. Oh, it's got what do we call these? Rock sliders? Nah, I don't think we call them rock sliders. I think we'll call it aluminum diamond plate covering up the rust. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. Power plant. Check that out. 6 in a row, ready to blow. Yeah, that's what it does. It kind of choo-choo trains out the back. You get a little you know, of smoke and whatever else might be inside there. But yeah, check out the shiny radiator. Yeah, that thing's, yeah, that's worth more than the Jeep. It's an eBay special, 150 bucks. Had to do a little figuring though, because you can see behind this grill that does not match, because the one that was up here had no headlights and it was full race, like I said. So we're not looking at full race, we're looking at full, maybe, well, partial, maybe 1/10. I don't know, just maybe if it would go, that would be okay. I'd be okay with that. But to go, you need headlights, right? You got to be able to see where you're going if you're gonna go. Yeah, it's got 2 different size tires on it. I got some bigger, I don't know what these things are, 33s, 36s, 392s, 32s. And back here, I think I got 31s. That just makes it, that makes it faster. Yeah, 31s. So I got 31s and 32s. That changes your gear ratio, which is another story to get into. So when I got this thing, it had some issues. One of which, you might be able to see, it's kind of green down in there. I get the camera on it. You kind of see it. Well, anyway, we'll go down in there this way. How's that? There it is. Now you can see it. That is a homemade motor mount, solid. And that was broke. The other motor mount is a rubber motor mount. That was broke. The exhaust manifold was MIA. Had an intake manifold not bolted on. Carburetor, again, another shiny piece. Another eBay special. Carburetor was there, but these Carters are notorious for having issues. The motor, when I got it, first step, I just put the manifold on with a bunch of silicone, put some bolts with some washers, kind of like this stuff, and just fired her up the way she was. And believe it or not, it kind of ran. It popped off. Oh yeah, you can see something shiny down here too. Right there. Freeze plug. Yeah, Yeah, so I had to put one of them temporary jobbers in there. Do you know that you cannot find those things? I went to every parts store in town, Napa included, and where did I go? Yeah, Napa in Rome, they had one, or they had a box. The kid didn't know what they were. What's the world coming to? But anyway, he had a box of them. The other guy knew where it was, and we filtered through them, and that was the best we could find. And he sold me that. They didn't even have a price tag on it. They didn't even know how much to sell it for me to me for. So I think I paid him $2. I want to say that's like probably $15, I think, but $2. Okay. So anyway, it works. It keeps the juice in the motor. That's all that matters. Long enough to know if this thing was even worth monkeying with. So I get the thing and I get it fired off, and it fires. I'm like, okay, let's change oil. So I pulled. I checked the oil, and it had oil in it, but let's change it. So I pull the plug. Well, probably about a quart of antifreeze runs out of it. And so that's not good. So we need to come up with another plan for that. So I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on? So I got to pull the head off. So I take the head off. Head gasket's blown. Do I have the head gasket here? Nah, maybe I threw it out. Nah, probably not. You know me, I never throw. Ooh, I was looking for that box right there. You never know what you're going to find when you're not looking for it. That's got to go over here. I'll set it over here. Yeah, I got the wood stove going too. New shiny pipe. I'll give you guys a hint. This is just a public service announcement, okay? When you fire up your wood stove for the first time, you know, because you've loaded it full of cardboard and other miscellaneous crap all summer long, and you want to burn it out, you light the fire in it, and your rusty stovepipe back there decides to fall off in the midst of the fire. So the whole shop fills full of smoke, and your lungs fill full of smoke, and you start to die. But you get out the door and you throw some water on the fire, thinking maybe that'll calm it down. You run like crazy up to the hardware store. Thank God I got a hardware store only, you know, half a mile away. And you buy $100 worth of pipe and a new elbow, because that's what rusts off, because the water runs down the pipe and rusts out the elbow, because the pipe up at the top, out there on the outside, had fallen off with the snow, and I hadn't put it back on. So all summer long, it's been sitting there getting rain down it. Anyway, I digress. So, here's the words of wisdom. Do not start the fire without checking your pipe. Got it? Good. Okay, back to this piece of junk. So, I pull the head off, got a bad head gasket. Okay, no problem. We'll put a new head gasket on it. So I get the head gasket, you know, this is a 258. Okay guys, sorry about that. Battery went out, you know. So anyway, I pull the head off, find where she's blown between the gaskets, changed out the head gasket, put the head back on, cleaned out all the ports because she was right full of, you know, radiator stop leak. Every orifice seemed to be plugged, which probably didn't help it heating up. So then I went on the search for a exhaust manifold. Now I assume what this thing had was a header, because she's full race, you know, I mean, this, yeah. So being that I assume it had a header, the guy took the header off because it was probably worth more than a Jeep, and kept the header, or sold the header, and left me with this crap. Actually left the other guy that I bought it off from, because he bought it off another guy. So anyway, so the search for an exhaust manifold. I got on the you know, Facebook stuff, and I looked around, and I talked in groups and blah blah blah, and man, I tell you what, they are hard to find. AMC stuff is getting tough. But anyway, I had a brain fart. I get those once in a while. Yes, they do stink. And I was able to find a manifold literally 5 miles away from the house. There was a guy that had a bunch of AMC stuff in the woods, international trucks, and I knew that he had some AMC, and when leaves are off, you could see it. There's probably a dozen cars, trucks, you know, that kind of stuff back in the woods. So I decided what I was going to do was get a hold of this guy, and I did, you know, took some work, but I figured it out. And I was able to get a manifold. And didn't have to go all the way to California to get it, or Florida, or bunged up Egypt, or wherever. So, stoked about that. Even got the bolts, or most of them. You can see I had to make one over there. No, actually, I had the spacer, but I didn't have the bolt. I think I found the bolt afterwards. So I just had to put some washers on it, but don't care. So I got a new manifold gasket. They didn't say to put the exhaust manifold gasket on. Very interesting. I have one for it, but maybe you guys can chime in, and if you guys are Jeep guys, about the manifold situation, because that's just kind of weird. You read the directions and it says don't put it on, and then some say put it on. I didn't put it on. So it seems okay. I mean, it's loud. It's got no exhaust. She just opened off the manifold. Eventually, maybe. But anyway, so we get her running, and with that, and the oil pressure is 25 pounds at idle. Yeah, okay. And as it warms up, it's 20, it's 15, it's 5. It's non-existent, but it ain't knocking. So you go on the old interwebs. The interweb says, yeah, you know, these things are kind of like that. They don't build a lot of oil pressure, and they'll run for a while, you know, before they explode. So I'm like, okay, good enough. Okay, so I get it running, and now I got to get it driving. So I start that process. Well, I go and I put it in gear. Hey, check out the seat. Pretty cool, hey? I think this seat is out of a like a gamer. You know, like you know, like your kids, you know, playing video games. I found it on the side of the road. But it had a wooden bottom, but it's got metal in it, so I just welded some brackets to it, and now it's a seat. Pretty high class. Race. So I had to put ignition, so it's got ignition. Had to get the clutch to work because all that linkage was all mucked up because the engine had fallen over. Got a chromey gas pedal, eBay special. I think it was $14. What else did I do? That's about it. So anyway, I get her fired up, and it's running, and I let the clutch out, and I don't go nowhere. So I'm thinking, well, maybe something screwed up in the transmission, you know, maybe they blew it up, who knows. So then I'm like looking at it, and okay, really interrupted again. So anyway, I'm messing with the transmission and the transfer case and all that good stuff. Everything seems to be working-ish. So I'm like, okay. So I get out so the thing doesn't roll away, and I crawl underneath it, and I look at the dry shafts, wherever it is. There's a dry shaft in there, and it's not turning. Well, it's turning, but the rear end ain't turning. See, this got to go around. So I assume that that's probably what took her out of commission. Full race, you know, it is what it is. And they blew the rear end. Oh, that makes sense to me. I happened to, this is what got me kind of going with the Jeep thing, was I picked up a frame at my buddy's junkyard for $100. How can you beat that? CJ7, 1981-ish, had front end, rear end, had all this stuff, no dry shafts, steering box. I got another project. I'll show you that one later, guys. And I was going to combine the two projects and make one project, but ended up that I'll probably just end up with 3 projects, you know, because I need more projects. See, I have no projects. I am totally out of stuff to do. So I end up just pulling a rear end. Pull that rear end out of the CJ7 that's outside. That's why I keep pointing over there, because that's where it is. Pull it out, swap it into this. It fits. Everything lines up pretty good. It's got smaller brakes. That could be an issue. Missing a drum. That can be an issue. But at least I know this rear end, when you turn the wheel, the pinion turns and everything turns. It's a one-wheel peel, but it turns. So put it all together, get the dry shaft in it, and fire it up, and it runs. And it moves. It goes. So I was able to drive it around. But the throttle was sticking. As of a few days ago, I was having issues with, I'll show you, right here. This little piece of plastic was much longer. You can see I took my knife and I whittled it a little bit. It's not high tech, but, and what it would do is when the cable sucked in, it kept, this plastic was hitting this and it was binding. And it would cause you basically to have to push real hard to get it to, and this was even flared. So it shouldn't do it, but it did. And it would bind, and she was all, you know, you go from idle to 2,000 RPMs, and it was hard to drive. So, what do you guys think about a cold start? I mean, she's cold. She's ice cold. You think it'll run? Battery's in it. It's hooked up, so it's probably dead, because there's probably a draw someplace, even though there's only 2 wires hooked up. I got it blocked, so it shouldn't roll away. Let's just try a cold start. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's see if it's out of gear. Feels like it. I'll show you this thing too. This is another piece of crap I'm working on. So let's see. Choke it or no choke? What do you guys think? Yeah, I put a manual choke. I hate automatic chokes. Let's choke it. Let's choke it. I'm not going to give it any throttle. Now, let's give it half choke. Okay. Let's go with full choke. And let's pump it a couple times. There's a little speed shot. Oh, what do you think about that, guys? Blub, 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 blub. Not too shabby, eh? I got the idle down on it, but what's the oil pressure? Whatever it says. 25-ish? 25. Temp gauge works too. Yeah, that's a Stewart Warner temp gauge. And again, oh yeah, check out my electric gauge. Is that cool or what? Yeah, come out of an old machine. I don't know what it was. Oh, she's a stinker. Oh, she smells like oil. Yeah, she burns oil, but it runs. I haven't tried this throttle since then. She's a little cold-blooded. Stay running? Oh yeah, barely. See if we open the choke. Maybe she'll run better with the choke open. Yeah, maybe a little. Yeah, the alternator's junk too. The alternator, let me see if this is the one that I put on it. No, this was the one that was on it. Yeah, I know. It's got kind of a roadkill gas tank. But I made it into a one-wire. You know, did the old flip-de-doo with the wire on it. New plug wires, new plug wires. Fuel pump was good. Had to do a little combobulation there. Power steering works. Pretty cool. This was crazy. I was trying to get, I had the manual, or I don't know, what do you want to call it? Yeah, I guess manual temperature sensor for the temp gauge, and I was trying to figure out a way to plumb it in, and this was the only junk I had laying around that had the right fitting was this. So it didn't work. So what's going to happen is I'm just going to connect those hoses together again, so it's not as ugly. I still have to wire the fans, and I did reverse them. They're on the front now, and I took them all apart and flipped the blades, so now they're a pusher instead of a puller. So that was good. And yeah, you see the race chain right there by the red wire? Race chain. Yeah, that's so when the motor falls out, it catches it. Yeah. So, but yeah, the temp gauge I got now plugged in over here. That works. This is a nightmare. Brakes not working well at all. New master cylinder, new wheel cylinders in the back, one new drum. You know me, I'm cheap. New spring kit, all that kind of stuff. It's a little smoky in here. I mean, you'd probably carbon monoxide yourself out, but it's not like a total smoke show. But it's not great. But I wonder if my oil pressure's dropping yet. No, about the same. She's getting some temperature in it now. She's smoothing it out. You can see her starting to cheech a little. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera. She's starting to choo-choo train. But anyway, this is Project HEEP. I wish I could get back on it, give you the full Monty. Maybe I can do it from here. Kind of. Yeah, she's a beauty. So I haven't even thought about the gas tank, but I have another gas tank up on that shelf that I believe will fit a Jeep. Not sure though. Oh yeah, she's smoky on this side. I wonder why it smokes over here and not on that side. I don't know. Yeah. So Hard Knocks Racing. Yeah. So anyway, guys, that's just a short video. Maybe now you can see her teaching. I just wanted to show you guys this project. Hopefully I'll be able to put out some more content now that my brain is not overwhelmed as much. So thanks again for watching, commenting, and I do apologize for not putting out anything in a while, but if anybody's stuck with me, I hope you enjoyed.